Well, you guys can read the title. This is Josh from Whiskers and Wrenches, and I bought another good old work truck for $1,000. Now, I bought that blue Chevy last time for $900. I bought this old girl for $1,000. This one is a little bit better than the Chevy, but a little bit worse in some other places. It's got a little bit more rust, but it is a 4x4, as you can see on the back. It's got a headache rack. It's got a lift gate on the back. It's got 205,000 miles. It is a 2000 Ford F-150 cab and a half short bed. Now I'm going to take you guys through it and show you all the glorious pickup I got for $1,000. Now you guys need to just hear me out on this. You guys are going to see this right here and see Trident 4 or 5.4 liter and go, why the hell did you buy that? These things blow spark plugs out all the time. Well, this was a $1,000 pickup that runs and drives. It has never done that. The gentleman before me has taken darn good care of this truck. It has been serviced at so many Ford dealerships. It's got a glove box full of receipts, and this thing just runs and drives like a peach. Now, I know these things do have issues with the spark plugs blowing out, but for a $1,000 pickup, it's just a beater. It's just a work truck, something that I'm not going to, beat up for no reason, but it's going to be used. It's going to haul scrap around. It's going to haul motorcycles around. I'm going to drive it in the winter when I need four-wheel drive, but this thing runs great. Now, I was willing to walk away from this thing, but for $1,000 and how great it ran, I just straight up couldn't. I mean, this thing has a clean and clear title. It does have a few miles on it. It's got 205,000 miles on it. But these things, as long as you take care of them, the spark plugs don't pop out the cylinder heads, they are pretty darn reliable. My stepmother has a 98 Expedition that has one of these motors in it, and it is at 298,000 miles, and it's never popped a plug out of it, and that thing just runs like a peach. Now, granted, that thing was meticulously maintained. You could eat off the inside of that car. Owner's manuals are still in the glove box, everything like that. But this thing's been pretty darn well maintained, too, so I don't think this is a bad buy at all. Now, as you can see on the front end here, it's actually a pretty darn nicely optioned truck. It's got the paint match. It's got the nice grille. It's got fog lights in the bumper down here, as you can see behind my arm there. It does have a little bit of chewed up here. It probably hit a deer or a dog or coyote or something like that. But it's got a block heater in it, already wired up, ready to be plugged in there. It's got tow hooks in case I need to yank somebody or myself out of a ditch in the winter. It's got great tires on it. Four-wheel drive works great. I mean, this bumper itself isn't messed up. It's got a little bit of blue here from, I'm guessing, where he nicked another car or another car nicked him or something like that. But, dude, for a little winter beater, this thing is great. I actually bought this from a legitimate old grandpa that had it for about 11 to 12 years. I'll have to look on the title, but there was not much on the listing. This thing had been up there for 5-6 months just because basically he didn't do a good job of listing it. He had a single picture that wasn't very good and a description that was probably 20 words or less. Now, this thing runs and drives great. I actually picked it up from Des Moines, which is about an hour and 10 minutes away from me. Paid my dad some money to drive me up there, drove this thing back, put it in cruise control, didn't have a single darn issue with it. Oil pressure held great, temperature held great. It cruised right down the road at 75, no shakes, no rattles, no nothing like that. It does have a bad intake or a bad exhaust gasket on this side. It clicks, it bangs. It's just, blown out exhaust gasket. It's an old truck that I bought for $1,000 that runs and drives. This thing has had some serious work to it. I'll show you on the back, but now that we're at the front end, this thing has had a fully rebuilt front end. There is no slop in the steering rack, nothing like that. It drives straight and true right down the road. The guy spent a bunch of money on this truck, taking good care of it, and he was getting up there. He was legitimately, I think he said like 85, and he was just like, you know what, I'm not using it anymore. I'm going to croak one of these days. I don't want this thing to go to a scrapyard because it's been so damn loyal to me. Now, as you can see here, it actually did come with the Ames Lincoln Ford dealer tag still on it. It's got the oil change sticker from there in 2021. The guy who I bought it from, like I said, was an old man that really kept up on maintenance. This thing has been meticulously maintained, especially for a rusty old truck. You don't get these a lot. Now we're at the back of it. We can see the glorious, carefully modified by the rust a little bit, rear end, but it has some great early 2000s LED taillights. These look perfect in a early 2000s Need for Speed or a Fast and Furious or something like that. But the main thing back here, it's got a lift gate on it, and this thing is fully electric, and it has controls on it, and it does work. Now, I bought this truck, like I said, for $1,000. It has a clean and clear title. There is legitimately nothing wrong with this truck that would make me not want to drive it daily to work. Granted, I don't live very far from where I work, but like I said, I drove this thing an hour home. No issues at all. Threw some gas in the tank, and that was that. As you can see right here, got the little control box. Power it on. Nope. Let me unhook it here. Fold this down just like that. It's got another one that folds out. Thing is not too light. Turn the other guy. Oh, I thought I had it. There we go. You can see fully electric, goes up and down just like that. He did say when it's cold, it kind of takes a little bit slower to go down. Here, let me move a little bit so you guys can see it. Oh, come on now. Well, it does normally work. He said when it's cold, it's kind of temperamental, but it does go up and down. It goes back up really nicely. Just gets caught when it goes down sometimes. Now, this is a 1,500-pound Tommy Gate. This thing and the tires alone are probably worth $1,000 bucks. So I made out pretty good on this truck. Now, you might expect a truck like this, looking like this on the rust side, to have a lot of rust up underneath. But this thing's frame is actually really nice. Let me bring you guys in a little bit closer here. So as we can see up under here, it's got a little bit of surface rust, but there is still black paint on them leaf hangers. There's no rust holes on any of this frame at all. It's got a little bit of crust towards the back, but that's what you're going to get in a salt bed truck. But this thing is great. It has aftermarket heavier duty leaf springs on it. It has 250 leaf springs on it. The bed itself is pretty darn rusty, but it's just an old bed. I can find these in a scrapyard. Get one pretty clean for $200-300 bucks. Now you can see on this inside, it's not as clean as it possibly can be, but we have air conditioning, we have cruise control. The driver's seat just has a little itty bitty tear in the stitching right there. My truck was worse than this. The one I sold before here, my 03 single cab long bed that I sold. I bought this one to replace it as the winter beater. Now, it is going to get undercoated and everything like that, but this is my winter beater. That long bed I had was a 2-wheel drive, and it was a V6. It was a 5-speed. It just wasn't really built for getting around in the winters we have down here. Well, it wasn't necessarily bad for snow, but we get a lot of ice down here because it kind of can never really make up its mind if it wants to stay cool or hot, and it snows, then it melts a little bit, then it all freezes. Unless you have 4-wheel drive, you're kind of plumb out of luck. So, do a quick little start up here. It's decently cold. I did just get home like 10-15 minutes ago, but I just drove it in town to get some dog food, so it wasn't that warm. See here, it starts right up. There is a little bit, got the radio on. See if you can hear this. You hear that exhaust manifold tapping just a little bit. But I mean, there's nothing. It does have a check engine light. It's just for an O2 sensor. That exhaust manifold letting all that pressure out. It's kind of confusing, that O2 sensor, and there's nothing else wrong with it. I mean, like I said, I drove this thing an hour home, put cruise control on 75 and just cruised it. Had my hands off the wheel at sometimes. It just drove completely straight, no vibrations, no nothing like that. Now, there are some issues with it. I mean, obviously, it's a $1,000 pickup. It's not going to be a running and driving truck. Now, I'll show you guys some of that issues here. First one, see down here, the e-brake itself, fully locked to the floor. It doesn't come off. I mean, let me take the stupid key out of here so it's not beeping at us. But, I mean, there's simple things wrong with it. I didn't even notice that. The light wasn't on the dash, so I didn't even notice. But it's pretty dirty in here. It needs a clean, but it does have full trailer brake system. It's got air conditioning. It is pretty darn cold out here, but I thought I could smell it. I know that kind of sounds weird, but air conditioning does have a certain smell to it. All the gears work. I mean, like I said, AC, I'm pretty sure I can smell it working. The 4-wheel drive works. The tires are great on it. I mean, it really just needs a clean out and some rust repair, and that's not too bad at all, especially for a winter beater. I'm going to clean it because I do plan on driving this thing to work on Monday. It is Saturday, getting a little bit dark outside. It's about 5 o'clock, and we don't have much more time of light out there. I want to get this thing vacuumed out, put a little bit of carpet neutralizer in it, just get it cleaned out so it's not super unbearable to drive to work on Monday. Found my first find of the day, some good work gloves. See if they'll fit my hand or if they're too small. These things fit my hands nice. I might bring these to work. These are nice work gloves. Good ATV gloves is what they are. They got some good grips to them. That's a good find. Would have paid $1,000 for those alone. You know what? For a quick wipe down, that don't look too bad. I mean, there's a little bit of peel and paint here. They almost always do that, I've noticed. And my 03 and my 99 parts truck, they both had paint chipping right here. Just old, probably cheap, dinky Ford paint. But I mean, dude, for a quick, like, 20-minute wipe down, $1,000 truck, dude, that's not bad at all. Now I'm going to go do a little outro here and we'll get you guys out of here. Where this video is going to end. This is Josh from Whiskers and Wrenches. And again, this is my 2000 F-150 4-wheel drive automatic 5.4 liter spark plug blowing Trident V8 F-150 that I picked up for $1,000 with the clean and clear title and drove it an hour home. Now, there is some work that needs to be done to this pickup. I mean, it's got that exhaust manifold leak. It's got the check engine light for the O2 sensors. It's got, you know, little piddly things on the inside here and there. It needs that that carpet cleaned up pretty darn bad. It's got a good crack in the, you know, windscreen, but nothing that's going to keep me from driving this thing daily. I mean, I'm going to drive this thing to work Monday, and I'm not even going to do anything to it. The only thing I did today was clean it out. And I mean, I really didn't even need to do that. It wasn't that bad, but I figured I'd just blow it out, give it a good wipe down, see what I'm working with. Now, subscribe if you guys want to see more about this truck. Like the video. Comment what you think I should do to it first. I know these things are notorious for blowing spark plugs out the head. I'm going to, you know, just give it a good once over before winter comes along. It's going to get, you know, an oil change, probably some coil packs, air filter, you know, just simple things like that. But then it's going to get run this winter, and we're going to see what happens. If something bad does go wrong with this pickup, like an axle, a transmission, something like that, I am going to replace it. I've been looking for a decent winter beater / scrap hauler for a long time, and with the lift on the back and how little the frame actually has rust, it's not that bad of a truck. Now, the body itself, like as you saw, it has some rust to it, but the frame, the bones of this thing are great, especially for how many miles it had and how long it's lived around here. I mean, these things rust out good, and this thing really isn't that rusty. So make sure to like, subscribe, share it around. You know, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.